Hello, and welcome back to Women Live. For those of you that don't know who we are or what this is the Women in Logistics Marketing Alliance, and we are just a group of ladies in the supply chain that are in marketing, sales, and partnerships who are coming together to share our tips, our strategies, and really help each other out. So if you want to join us, be sure to drop your email in the comments or reach out to Jenny or I, and we will get you connected to our monthly meetings and possibly have you on for one of our monthly lives. And today we have Jessie Thomas, the VP of Marketing at Highway. Hey, Jessie.
Hello. Nice to see you.
You too. And also joining us is Jenny Malafarina, who is the CEO of Virago Marketing.
Hello. It's great to be here. We are officially unofficial, and that's why we're an alliance and not an association.
I almost said association.
Unofficial. Yeah. But yeah, if you'd like to join us, join the conversation. We'd love to have you. So we started meeting, I think a few months ago, I don't know. It's been like half a year now. We started meeting. We average 12 to 20 ladies on every call every month. And we have topics of discussion. And so tomorrow is our next meeting. So if you want to kind of slide in before then, I think the question is, how would you like to use AI to replace one of your marketing tasks? So we'll be focusing really on AI. And we always talk about the shows, give some feedback on previous shows and upcoming shows and things like that. So it's always very insightful conversations and very smart ladies.
Yes. And Jessie is typically there as well.
Yeah. I love that meeting. I love taking the brains of other marketers.
Yes.
Especially in the industry.
Yep.
That's why we do it.
Yeah. And like, speaking of picking the brains of other marketers, Jessie, would love to hear a little bit about your experience with Highway, how long you've been there and what you've been up to recently.
Absolutely. Well, hello, everyone. I am Jessie Thomas, VP of Marketing at Highway. I've been with Highway since April of last year. So still fairly new-ish with only 15-ish months under my belt. But yeah, I've been in the logistics world for 4 years in November. I started as the director of marketing at Cargo Chief, and that's where I met Jenny. And then prior to that, I've worked in marketing my whole career. I think I did the math the other night. This is my 6th or 7th industry that I've worked in the 13 to 15 years that I've been in marketing. So it's been fun. And I will say, out of all the industries I've worked in, from radio broadcast to fintech, manufacturing, security, med spas, freight has been my favorite. And it's really because of the people. So it's been a really fun 3.5 years so far.
So since you've been in the supply chain for a couple of years now, what are some of the challenges that you're seeing in freight marketing that maybe you didn't bump into in some of the other industries?
Oh, there are so many. And that's what I tell people whenever I talk marketing with others. It is night and day. Like, take, for example, fintech. I worked for a couple of companies that the persona was an accountant or CFO, someone in finance. Someone in finance versus a freight broker, pretty different. No offense to CFOs in our industry, but those in outside of freight, they're usually behind the computer or very manual with paper. They're not into digitization. And so that's some correlation with freight, because really digitization didn't really happen or wasn't forced upon us until pretty much COVID. But I will say what's different is, one, the freight industry, they are so vocal on LinkedIn. I've never seen an industry utilize LinkedIn like our industry does. And it's just a community. I mean, I go to shows and I tell people, like my friends and family, it's like I'm going to a family reunion. I'm seeing all my friends, or maybe it's more correlated to like a college or high school reunion, because you're just seeing all your friends. And a lot of friends become family too. We actually have, this is a funny story. We lived in Tampa, my husband and I, for 2-ish years, and our next door neighbors, I didn't realize this until I entered into the industry, but he works for a brokerage in Tampa. Then when I got my job at Cargo Chief, I was going to him saying like, okay, what's a freight broker? What's a carrier? What's a shipper? Teach me all these
Give me all the
things.
details.
And now that I'm at Highway, he's a customer. And it's just so crazy to see him at some of these shows now. We saw each other at TIA Capital Ideas, and I felt like I had family there. I'm like, oh, this is so cool that best friends are at the same conference. We literally work in the same industry. It's so cool. So I love it. It's so much fun. Someone told me my first show in 2023, once you're in logistics, you'll never get out.
Mhm.
Never get out.
I think I told you that. Like, you just move around.
Yeah, that's what I've seen too. People just hop around. And
Yeah.
so that's why you never want to burn bridges.
I think the other cool thing is you see a lot of the industry building the industry solutions. So some people will work at a solution and then they're like, this isn't really going the direction I feel it needs to go, or I have this insight, or, I want to build something specific to a certain pain point. And then they go out and do that. So you see a lot of startups in this space that are like building very specific solutions. And they just kind of hop around like, oh, I had a freight. Whitney, we talked to a guy the other day. I have a freight brokerage. Now I have factoring. Now I'm building a TMS. Like, it's like, okay, just kind of building all the different things. But that's a good thing because they're, solving real world problems.
And I think that what we were talking about this before we went live, but what makes a company or a brand successful, I really think it's the people behind it, and the companies that are being successful in our industry, if they have the background of the brokerage or a carrier and they're putting a product out there for that audience, I think that's what makes it like they've lived it. They know it.
Right to them.
Solve for it.
Right.
So I think people really make a brand successful.
How do your people live your brand at Highway?
So one thing to say about Highway's brand, I love it. I think they've done a really great job from the get-go. I believe that they hired some of the best people to build and just sell Highway and bring it to market, because everyone came from the industry, whether it was a brokerage or another firm in the industry. They all have decades of experience. And we're continuing to hire this year. We've had rapid growth because
that's very unique right now, Jesse, to be honest. Like, you're growing, you're doing really well, like Highway's doing really well. Like, what are you seeing going on in the market? Like, because a lot of companies are kind of like pulling back, like, oh, our budget's getting cut, we're just freezing on spend, we're doing all these things. But you guys are in a different space.
Yeah, it's exciting, but also unfortunate, because why we're growing is because of fraud. I mean,
that's
not a good thing. I'm always the positive one. I always bring light to the party. And working for a company that fights fraud, like, we're doing good, but I just cannot stand that there are people out there that fraud, doing bad, is their full-time job.
Right.
Like, they wake up every morning and it's like, how can I steal freight? How can I steal from you? I'm like, why are people like that? But so yes, we are experiencing a lot of growth because we are building a lot for the industry to combat this fraud. If recently we were involved in the CNBC cargo theft documentary, and it's not talked a lot outside of our industry, fraud in general. Like, my husband, my parents, they don't know about cargo theft and why prices are going up or why they can't get X, Y, and Z. It's because, well, the load was stolen. Oh, they're low on inventory because of fraud. But so we are building a lot of products. We're executing a lot of products this year to combat some of these attack vectors, new attack vectors that we're seeing literally just last quarter. Whether it's the hottest one right now is inboxes are being compromised. So bad actors are compromising carrier inboxes to steal the rate cons, to steal the loads. And so recently we just announced secure Raycon delivery, and which makes the carrier reauthorize themselves as, hey, I say who I say that I am, and it verifies that they are the person receiving this Raycon.
Right.
So it's like a bank statement. You never want to get a bank statement as a PDF. Why did we do that for Raycons?
Right.
It's interesting. You guys are doing so much. And it is a little unfortunate that the reason your company is doing well is because other people are not. But those are the twists and turns of the supply chain, but also what you're building is sustainable going into the future, right? To not just combat, but eventually, hopefully the goal is full preventative measures, right? Like we have this in place so that this is never an issue again. And that is something that I think I champion about Highway. But I would love to know, as we're moving into like the marketing piece, is what are some of these campaigns that you've been doing that have been really successful for you guys? Because you have scaled really fast. You guys made a very prominent mark on the industry very quickly. And I would love to know what happened.
Do it.
Well, one, make sure you have the right people and the product works. But marketing wise, what I've learned over the last over a year of working with our customers and our database is they want to know the numbers. They want to know, hey, what is the breadth of fraud? And then what are some of the best practices and tips? And so I really try to lean in on making sure that we are educating, bringing awareness of the issue at hand, but then educating them, okay, here's the problem, here's the solution. Right. Here's a new vector, here's how you can protect yourself from it. And so through our social media, our email campaigns, our newsletter, it's always education driven. So I lead with the numbers and then show the solution, whether it's or best practices, whether it's through a tool that we have or some tweaks that they can make in their for their team internally through their operations or through their workflows. And then we just recently launched our index report, our freight fraud index report that is going to be going out on a quarterly basis. That way we can track, hey, where is the fraud coming from? What are the new vectors? Are there any trends that we're seeing? Like I said, with the inbox compromises, we are seeing a spike in Q2. And so that's something that we're going to be talking about in our next index report. Our last one featured, we saw a ton of sold MCs in Q1, which we still see today, email spoofing and fraudulent phone calls too. And so just trying to track and trend out these vectors so that it's not just bringing awareness to the broker and carrier, but also educating the shipper too on, hey, you need to protect yourself. You need to protect your network, your shipments, your loads. So yeah, it's all about education, to be honest, when it comes to fraud.
Yeah.
I see your emails and I see that education. I think it's so smart. And it's like the product marketing, right? It's not like hey, here's our newsletter and, just kind of talking about what's going on in the industry and stuff. Like you guys really zero in on a specific challenge in the industry and really educate on that and really drive towards the solutions for that like are game changers. If they lose loads, they could lose millions. They could, I just saw like, what was it? Like a whole truck of Nintendo Switches was stolen. And it just blows my mind. Like you don't see, it's not like that prevalent on the news. Like it's like industry news. And it's a lot more because it's not prevalent on the news. It's very common. Like this is very common, but like I feel like the rest of the world doesn't know about it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going on the CNBC and telling everyone.
Yeah.
And I hope that the awareness increases, to be honest, when it comes to mainstream media. I was really excited that CNBC asked us to be a part of it, and some other partners in the industry, to bring that story to life, to bring this issue out there, because I think, honestly, to combat this, yes, like our industry, our bubble can do as much as we can, but I think there's more to it. I think we can, the more awareness that everyone has, the better we can then fight it. Because you got to think about like the government. I really appreciate TIA, government affairs. Like they're always talking to the politicians and educating them, and they're not part of our bubble. so
Yeah.
there's so much education that has to be had, and so that's why I
surprising to me was how many different types of fraud there are. So you talked about spoofing inboxes, we talked about like cargo theft, pilferage, like different hotspots, taking food and beverage versus taking electronics, like just spoofing phone calls, like tons, like like
I'm still learning about them.
I'm just like, there's so many different things. So no wonder why you guys are developing more and more products to combat that. But like, I mean, when we did that, I think you guys put on that webinar at Broker Carrier Summit, or we're part of it. Those hotspots and how like it starts in California and they drive out of California and they have to drive out of California to get, well, one, cheaper gas, but two, so many miles away from where somebody might be waiting for them. And I was like, this is very interesting. Like, and so I do think that there needs to be a lot of education on this, that there's not a lot of like, and even though it's a horrible story to tell, like it's an interesting story. Yeah, it's important.
Yeah. And as a marketer, I'm still learning about a lot of these because I'm not an expert. My background's in marketing. Like I said, I've only been in the industry for 4 years and then Highway for the last year. And so we actually have a team. And I think that's what makes Highway also successful is we have a risk management team that works with our brokers and customers on like if a fraudulent activity happens.
Right.
We are hand in hand with our partners, both brokers and carriers, to help solve and get a resolution, whether that's bringing in local enforcement, FBI, like any parties that we can get a hand on to help resolve. This team, it's a small but mighty team, but they work 24/7, 365 for our customers and carriers. And those that have been affected by fraud, they really appreciate that partnership. And so I think that, so I, as a marketer, I lean on them to educate me to help build campaigns so I can then educate and bring more awareness outside of the Highway bubble or our customer base. And so for me as a marketer, I work with every department in our industry or in our company, but I really hone in on that, the risk management one. Because I mean, their background, they've been doing that for decade, like their whole career. And one of them, one girl, she actually came from, she worked for a bondsman. And so like you just have like that, like hardcore, like I'm strong, like they're amazing at what they do.
So speaking of campaigns, sorry, Whitney, I would like to know like a specific campaign. Like what's a campaign that you've done lately that you've seen a lot of success with?
There's been a couple. I will say our broker newsletter that we launched back in, I want to say July or August of last year has been super successful. Bringing that education and awareness, sharing stories. So
what do you think has made it successful? Like you said, like sharing the stories and stuff, but like, do you think it's the strength of your brand equity that's getting those open rates. So if you send an email, people are like, there's value in this. Is it something you're doing in the subject line? Is it the contents? Is it all of the above? Like
that's
list
a
building,
really
like
good question. Because I mean, the title is Freight, Fraud, and Funnels. And so I think one, I mean, this goes along any marketer at any company in any industry. It's all about your list. Who are you
Yep.
sending it to? Making sure that they are the right target. And so our broker newsletter goes to both our users and non-users. Subject line, honestly, what I like to do, especially at Highway, is we like to personalize things.
Sure.
Like I said, one of the strong suits of the Highway brand are the people. And so a simple who is it from? It's not from Highway, it's from Jesse from Highway. Or if it's for the user, it's Bo from Highway, Jessica from Highway. So they have a person because, and this is one of the reasons why I feel like our broker newsletter is so successful, is not just about the open rates and the click rates, but they're engaging, they're replying, they're making comments about the content that we're delivering. Or if we're shining a light on a new attack vector, they're like, hey, Jesse, like, how can I help? And they're literally emailing me.
So just say the marketing at Highway email is dead. Like, that like general, like marketing at Highway, marketing at Virago, marketing.
We don't even have marketing at highway.com.
That used to be a previous tactic, because you would have like different identifications or categories for emails, and you say, hey, this is marketing information. It comes from marketing. You can unsubscribe from marketing, but that won't unsubscribe you from Jesse, right? And so it used to be like the newsletters or the marketing information would go from that. But you're saying, coming from you, giving them the opportunity to, re-engage with you, respond, give feedback.
Yes.
And then that probably leads to more open rates as well, just in general, coming from a person versus a general email.
I will say it is a little different when we launch our carrier newsletter. Any carrier communications, we do have a more generic email because we disperse it depending on the request or concern that they have. So that's service@highway.com versus any broker communications. We try to be more one-on-one, just because also the numbers, like we're dealing with like tens of thousands, not hundreds of thousands of carriers. If I used my email for carrier communications, my email would be flooded. But, but besides that matters. But yeah, personalization is really key. It was funny at TIA Capital Ideas this year, and it was a customer of ours. I introduced myself. I'm like, hi, I'm Jesse from Highway. They're like, Jesse from Highway, like the emails that I get? I'm like, yeah, that's me. He's like, oh, I thought those were automated emails. I'm like, no, that I write them, my team writes them, and they're coming from me actually. And so if you respond to it, you'll get a response from me. And he's like, oh, that's so cool. And so when we followed up with each other afterwards, I said, hello, XYZ from XYZ. And he's like, hey, Jesse from Highway. Call me Jesse from Highway.
I love that. And I'm wondering if that leans into advice that you may give to another company that's solving problems and they have really wonderful solutions, which means they have really good news to share within the industry. We live in a world, and I won't open the whole can of worms of AI, but of automation. And we were just at a conference together, you and I, where, shippers got up and said, like, I get it. Like, it's important and it enhances business flow. However, like, I need to know that there's another person on the other side of whatever you're sending to me. And I'm wondering what type of advice you would give to somebody who maybe is looking to not only have their brand known within the industry, right? They're kind of working on that awareness, but they're also working on that engagement piece where they're building these partnerships and looking for champions within the industry for their solutions.
Yeah, that's a really great question, because I've seen a couple of other brands in our industry that are very new and they've been doing a really amazing job. And one, I'll always go back. It's the people behind the brand, but you need to be out there, go to events. I mean, Highway, someone new comes to Highway, they're like, oh, what's your marketing spin like ratio? I'm like, we do go to a lot of events, but we go to events to speak, to network. We don't go to have the big flashy booth and everything like that. Like you'll see that, yeah, at TIA, we expanded to a 10 by 30, but do we really need a 20 by 20? Do I really need to spend more marketing dollars? Or do I
question about that? So you said you go to these events to speak and network. A lot of these events have changed to paid speaking. So are you doing that? And are you seeing value in that? Is it because I don't know, like I can't think of the event. I want to say it's TCA, and they're doing these paid speaking opportunities, and it's on the show floor, and it's like $3,000. People are walking around. I actually call the expo hall the shark infested waters. So not a lot of people want to like walk that. They want to go to the sessions and the education that's kind of outside the expo hall. Right. But, so they're selling these speaking opportunities. And I've seen this across an array of shows where it used to be you would apply to speak and be selected. Now there are committees that are either selecting who they want to come in and speak, or there's paid opportunities. So what are you seeing in that space? And are you seeing success in doing the thought leadership, and is it organic, or are you paying, and are you seeing success with paid?
All across. So we get invited to speak. If there's an RFP to submit a session, I always submit a session. And then if a sponsorship includes a speaking opportunity as like an option, I pick that over branding a happy hour or whatnot. Like I'm always, where are my opportunities to speak and get my thought leaders, my SMEs, in front of the audience? And it's not about the product. It's about educating the attack vector. So at TIA, I keep on going back to TIA Capital Ideas because I feel like this industry knows that show so well. But we did a panel with our CEO, Jordan Graft, Tim Valdez at Triumph, Cody Griggs at C.H. Robinson, and then Scott Cornell at Travelers. I had those 4 individuals on stage talking about fraud in all sectors. So what Highway's seeing, what's Triumph seeing on payment side, what's one of the biggest brokerages in our industry, C.H. Robinson, what they're seeing, how they're optimizing their operations and workflows and technology. And then Scott Cornell at Travelers, like what he's seeing, like literally on the day-to-day, because we all know Scott, he's a great guy. But he has all those relationships. And so having those 4 thought leaders on stage, I mean, the room had over 100 people in it. And it was just so engaging. And when it comes to fraud, I always leave at minimum 20 minutes for a Q&A because
people have questions.
People just ask questions. But also like, I like that as a session. Like I want it to be engaging.
Right.
Don't just talk to the audience.
Well, yeah, you flash up the numbers and the different pictures and people have questions. Can you clarify that? Where are you seeing that? So yeah, absolutely, you should leave time for those questions.
And from my experience with Highway is people also have stories and they want to hear in real time how you would apply your solutions to their active problems. And I think that that's a really smart way that you guys have approached that part of your thought leadership and like ingrained that into your branding.
It's all about understanding, what does your audience want to know? What brokers want to know about fraud? To your point, Whitney, stories. Like, what are you experiencing and how are you combating it? Okay, if that ever happens to me, knock on wood, then I know, okay, this is what I should be planning for, who I should be going to, what solutions I can be implementing, because it's not about getting the tech after it happens. Like, I think that's one of the other things, what's been successful about Highway is like, you don't get Highway after you have a fraud instance. A lot of people do though, because they're like, oh shoot, that just happened. I'm screwed. Let's get highway finally. But it's preventative. Like we do have some customers that don't use our entire suite of preventative tools. Like they only use us for, let's say, sourcing, vetting, and onboarding. They don't utilize LoadLock. They don't have our email plugin, the VoIP plugin. Like they don't have our entire suite. And I ask them why. And some of them say it's because we haven't been hit by fraud. I'm like, knock on wood, you haven't. But
I have a question about your storytelling capabilities because risk management is a very sensitive topic, right? Like people don't want to tell that story, right? Like, oh, they stole a load, I lost $2 million. Oh, we crashed a truck, people were hurt, right? Like people don't want to tell those stories. So are you able to capture these stories? Do people share these stories so that you can tell these stories and then talk about solutions? And like, how do you go about doing that? Because I feel like there's a lot of companies in the risk management space that struggle to get these very sensitive stories.
You are so right, Jenny, because you don't want to say, hey, I had a load stolen as my challenge, and then here's my solution.
Really messed up.
Yeah, but I will say more people gravitate to case studies that state in their title, like reduce fraud by 90%, 80%. How are they doing that? But we actually did a case study with Sethmar, and it was about how they prevented a $130,000 load from being stolen. So it wasn't about, oh, we were a victim of fraud. It was, hey, this is how we prevented it. And that's
I don't know. I need the story. How did
that's really like at the end
how
of
did
the
they
day.
know that it was, a liability of getting stolen? Like how did you prevent that?
Well, they saw it. So, okay, here's the story. Came in that morning, they already had a carrier on the load. The carrier was verified, like had all the green lights when they onboarded the carrier. Now, keep in mind that carrier could have been onboarded like 2 months ago. Do brokers re-vet carriers after they onboard? Normally, not really. They're always like, oh, cool. They're good. Still had the green light that evening. That morning, they got an identity alert that was posted by another highway customer that said that this carrier was involved in fraudulent activity. And so they got that alert. They immediately took the load off that carrier, notified the shipper, and froze the shipment all within 4 minutes.
Oh, wow.
And so because the network, the breadth of the highway network, because if someone who is a highway customer reports fraudulent activity, that reaches all customers. And so because they had LoadLock, they received that alert and they were able to immediately take action. And so it prevented a $130,000 load from being stolen from a carrier that was already involved in previous fraudulent activity.
I love solutions that work.
Yeah, right. And that's a good story, that preventative standpoint where you're able to say, we saw this was in place, but we were able to stop it. And then maybe that's an angle that, different insurance, risk management, people like that can take in terms of telling their stories. Because I know I talked to quite a few and they're like, nobody wants to say they were in a lethal accident, you can't tell those stories. But if there's a way to talk about prevention, that's going to be a much better story to tell.
And that's, like I said at the beginning, like my hope for people after hearing, this with you guys is the marketing and the stuff that you're sending isn't like, if something bad happens, call us. It's, like, let's start putting these preventative measures in place and start really like protecting the supply chain, because everybody's like time and their commodities and their businesses are very valuable, like more valuable than I think what the rest of the world realizes.
Absolutely. I agree.
Yeah.
Well, we are just when we're over our time frame.
We're over. I want to talk to you gals forever. And we will tomorrow during our meeting, our Wilma meeting.
Yes, which is a great.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, go ahead, Wendy.
going to say that's a great
Oh,
point to end on, is that if you are a woman in logistics, marketing, sales, or partnerships, and you want to join us tomorrow, we meet over lunch. It's an hour-long call. Like Jenny said, there's usually a dozen plus of us on the calls. We have a topic that we bring to the table and we vote on it, the month before. We would love to have you join us. So reach out to us, drop a comment if you want us to include you, and we'll send you the invitation.
Yeah, I'm excited for tomorrow's topic about AI, because I will say I use AI. I've been a one-woman show in marketing for a while, and I was blessed to start to build my team in December. So I have an amazing team that helps me. But AI just can be as simple of, hey, I have this thought. Can you just take it to the next level? Like, just form it out for me so I can stop thinking about it and move on. And so it's not like writing a full blog post or website copy or anything like that. It's really just
idea generation,
marketing coordinator, like a virtual marketing coordinator. Like, just take my thought and do something with it. And so that's what I love AI for that.
Yeah. It's going to be an amazing conversation, as was this. So thank you so much, Jessie, for joining us. This has been a fantastic live event.
Thank you, Whitney and Jenny. Thank you for having me.
Talk to you tomorrow.
Awesome. See y'all.
Bye.